Right, so welcome everyone. Today is October the 12th, 2022, and this is our All Lives Matter call with Dr. David Peck and Dr. Alex Loyd. My name is Johanna Chan. I'll be assisting them today, and if we have time, we'll go ahead and create some custom codes, custom trilogies for you personally, but that's later. Before we hear from the guys, I'm going to share this disclaimer. The presentation is for education and informational purposes only. And since we're going to be talking about issues of health and well-being, we wanted to make sure that you understand this information is not intended to heal or cure anything. Everything in the presentation are the opinions of Alex Loyd, David Peck, myself, and you if you choose to share. You should always check with a licensed healthcare provider about any specific health concerns you may have. All right, take it away, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Johanna. I'm Alex Loyd, the good-looking guy with the tree in his car. In the middle is Dr. David Peck. He is a double board certified surgeon at Columbia Presbyterian in New York, 20 years professor at Columbia, 50 published clinical papers, 2 United States patents, and he has most graciously agreed to be a part of this, what we hope will be a movement with me, not for you to follow us, for you to walk alongside of us, hand in hand, metaphorically together. And what we are hoping and walking toward is helping 1 million to 1 billion people increase their emotional well-being by 100% over the next year or less. And we are committed to providing the materials to do that free of charge to those people. And that's why we're here. And each week we discuss a life issue that we think might be interesting to you, but to Dave and I is a big deal that we probably need to go to the priest confessional about, and typically we do that here.
And that's, by the way,
everybody.
That's the other name that we play name that we have for this call is the Dr. Peck and Dr. Loyd confessional call.
Yeah, this is the Dr. Peck and Alex confessional time. Maybe yours too. If you would like to join in, we would love that. But this week, Dave came up with an issue that's been huge in my life, which is systemic defensiveness. And Dave, if you don't mind, I'll start this one, if that's okay. I usually let Dave go first because he comes up with them and they're fantastic. Systemic defensiveness. I grew up the baby in our family, and I know I was called that 1 million times, and I cringed every time I heard it, hated that term, the baby of the family. I guess I started to feel that because it was said so much. I'm the baby, which to me meant I'm the least important, the least to be listened to, the least to have their opinion about something be valid, okay? And I grew up in a family that was a weird family. My mother was full-blooded German. My dad was European in ancestry. And I don't know how it started, but for however it started, we were like an Italian family. We argued about everything. So if someone had an opinion about something, 9 times out of 10, it would start an argument. It wouldn't be, oh, I think, what would it be? I think we ought to move to another town to live, all right? And even if it was a good thing, it would start an argument. I think because our family argued. That was one of our activities, is we argued, and we argued about everything, okay? So growing up, I realized as the baby I had to argue louder and better if I was going to win. Okay. So I grew up, by the time I was grown up and out of my family of origin, ladies and gentlemen, I was an expert at arguing. I mean, I was fantastic at it. Okay. Because I grew up that way. And I had to be, in my opinion, for my own self-worth and survival in that family. So it was bigger than just wanting to win. It was a have to, okay? So what that led to is in college and in early marriage and middle marriage and all that, if something was brought up that I either had a different opinion about or didn't want to do, I would go into argue mode. And I was so good at it, I could out-argue almost anybody. I mean, I would out-argue my college professors. I would out-argue people who were very important and intellectuals and stuff like that. I think somehow I also just had a knack for it. It made sense to me, that sort of least common denominator logic, and going, you know, down and down and down and down and down until I got to a place where there was nothing else they could say. Okay. And I would do that almost every time. The problem was, a lot of those times they were right and I was wrong. I was just a better arguer than they were. Okay. So that would leave me feeling proud of myself for basically supporting a lie, but doing it successfully. And the person that I talked with feeling very confused and disoriented and very irritated at me because they knew I was wrong, even though they couldn't prove it. And so that is what Hope married into, and what she started experiencing in those first couple of years of our married life, that I think probably would have driven anybody crazy almost. Now, she wasn't crazy, but I don't mean crazy. I mean, that kind of crazy. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's defensiveness. That is me, rather than wanting to admit that I'm wrong or that another opinion might be a really good idea. I didn't even want to do that, because that would be reinforcing them. And you don't really do that in arguing. You're just trying to win your thing. Okay. So that was absolutely me not wanting to admit I was either wrong or having to do something that I didn't want to do. And one of the things that reminded me of, and I'll share this and then shut up, Dave, and you can share your 2 cents, was I had a couple early during counseling, man and wife. And at one point, the wife said to the husband, "Come on, honey, you can do it. You can do it. You can say it. I was wrong. Come on, you can say it. You can do it. You can do it. I know you can do it." And his point was, he's never wrong. According to himself, he's never wrong, even though he's wrong. Okay, that in a nutshell, kind of to me, is defensiveness. Now, you don't have to have, your opinion doesn't have to be wrong for you to be defensive about it. But mine was typically, and that was, you know, a client I have. But you can be right and be defensive. It's just kind of a self-protection thing from rejection. And Dave, you were absolutely right about that in what you wrote. That is what it is. It's a self-protection thing in the area of rejection and acceptance. And there's a feeling, if I can win the argument, if I can prove my point by logic, even if it's wrong, that's a form of validation for me, which would be the opposite of rejection, only it's not, because it's contrived, and the conclusion I win by arguing may not be right. It may not even be what's best. So Dave, I think you're exactly right. That's what came up for me, and that's been one of the biggest issues of my life. And I really had to learn to quit arguing, to stop it, and start conversing in love and truth. And those two things are a million miles apart. Arguing versus conversing in openness, love, and truth. So Dave, you whatever you're thinking.
Alex, no, I'm saying that was beautiful. That's you described everything for me, for my family. Except ours was more like about getting hurt, like just being hurtful towards each other. And that's in the same category, the rejection, the kindness category, the hurtfulness. Right. So yeah, and it just makes me think, that because here, listening to you, I mean, you have such understanding of yourself and your own situation, like into your, and it makes me think that really, this is really about a process of getting to know ourselves. I'm getting to know myself more, and I'm looking at you and I'm like, Alex is a person who knows himself so well, and all different parts of it. And so, anyway, so now going to my thing, my part with the defensiveness is this is part of this PEX character that I had. And, it includes, it's something that was generational and brought down to me. And it includes, and it was my whole life. I was like this, constantly defending myself, having to argue and prove my point and prove how I was a Mr. Know-it-all and, holier than thou. And so much energy, and we spoke about this before, all the energy that gets released into, this social imaging thing, and I have to be this certain way, and I have to, and I have to win this argument. And it drove Anna nuts, and Anna actually did, go crazy, whatever. But, that was one of the things that killed her about me, was that PEX character, the judgmentalness, the condescending, that's the other part, hypercritical. But what I have to say is, so, I spent years like this, and the way it would happen was, it was a natural thing. You would see a situation, or you would encounter a person, and immediately I would just go right to the judgmentalness or the hypercriticalness. And even if I didn't say it to the person, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, this was so, and you're picking problems with it and everything. And it wasn't until healing some of this stuff with the healing code, honestly, when I look at myself today, because I was thinking, preparing for this, I'm saying to myself, my first impulse is no longer to just tear that person down. It almost like, I mean, every once in a while, if I'm not feeling so good, that will come into my mind, and I'll have to be aware of it, but not nearly like it was before, and hallelujah. And such a change in the stress that you're feeling. And we go back to this stress and cortisol and health and medical problems and everything. And like, yes, it just, how many times can we say it? It's all related. And the source of that stress is the key. Yeah. Please, people, realize that this is the key. This goes beyond all that other stuff. And I'm not saying, I like a preacher out to do the CBD and all, all the other stuff, but don't neglect the most important thing.
Amen. Yeah. And I've found this to be, Dave, such a universal, common thing with people, that it's interesting to me, Dave, that when I meet someone who's not defensive at all, it's almost shocking, isn't it?
It's weird. It seems weird. Like, weird. Why are you reacting? You're supposed to be like backing up, and the guy's just like, okay, I agree, but it's also beautiful, and you feel and whenever I'm around Dave, one of those people who is open and not defensive, it feels safe.
It feels safe to me. And that's what I want to be for the people in my life, is I want to be a safe place for them, and a place they can come to and know nothing bad is going to happen to me there, and I'm going to be loved and accepted there. I want me to be that place for as many people as possible, because I know in my life, those have been several of the big difference makers for me.
You're there, Alex. You're already there.
I'm not, but I'm better than I used to be.
You're as close as you can get as a human, I think.
All right.
Well, you're in the ascension process anyway, so.
Okay. You want to start, Dave? You want me to?
Sure.
Okay.
Either way, I mean, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so we pray, we request with a pure heart and in good faith that all destructive, negative cellular memories, unhealthy habits and addictions, false limiting beliefs, any relationship issues related to the systemic issue of being defensiveness, be found, opened, and healed through love, light, truth, and God.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, and the first position is healing code 2, left hand high bridge, right hand brainstem, pushing for systemic defensiveness.
And by the way, I would say that the opposite of defensiveness is non-judgmentalism and acceptance.
Okay, now switch the hands. Left hand brainstem, right hand high bridge.
And not necessarily acceptance of their behavior, but acceptance of them as a person.
How do you separate out behavior from the person, though?
You just realize they're two different things. Just interrupt, Dave, and tell us where the next position is whenever it's that time.
Okay. Yeah. Left hand apple, Adam's apple. Right hand temple.
Okay. What I tell people on that is, have you ever told a lie in your life? And so far, everyone has said yes. Okay. Well, do you want me to put a label on your forehead in big red letters that says liar? And so far, 100% of people who have said they're liars have said, no, I do not want that. Why? Because I don't consider myself a liar. I've lied, yeah, but I don't consider myself a liar. That would be that lying is my identity. Your behavior is never your identity.
Okay.
Not for you and not for anyone else either. You do not have to forgive or accept their behavior. You do have to forgive and accept them. Just as you want to be accepted and forgiven outside of your behavior.
Okay, fourth position, left hand jaw, right hand bridge. Okay, back to position 1 now. Left hand high bridge, right hand brainstem. Feeling code 2 position. Okay, let's switch it now.
Left hand brainstem, right hand high bridge. So I guess the lie is that if I'm not right in this argument, that I'm like going to be humiliated, or I'm like going to be like made fun of,
or I'm just a lesser person.
lesser person. Yeah. Okay.
Nothing can make you a lesser person, in my opinion.
Mm. Okay. Left hand Adam's apple, right hand temple now. Third position, healing code 1 position.
Let me amend that. Nothing can make you a lesser person unless you choose evil, and as a way of life, not just one time, but as a way of life.
Mm. Okay, fourth position, left hand jaw, right hand bridge rather. Left hand jaw, right hand bridge. Okay, that's 4. That's 2 cycles.
Okay, acupuncture points, temples, side of the hand, eyebrows, middle of the chest, middle finger, collarbones, little finger, under the nose, index finger, under the arms, sore spot, thumb, under the eyes, under the nipples, chin, 9G, eyes open, closed, open, eyes down to the left, down to the right, circle your eyes, circle back the other way. 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. Now let's activate governing and conception vessel 3 times, please. 3 times. If it hurts, you're pushing too hard. Okay, custom healing centers. Let's start with forehead. Please open.
Open and harmonize.
Throat. Please open
Open
and harmonize. Middle of the stomach. Please open and harmonize. Base or root on the pubic bone. Please open and harmonize. Crown. Please open and harmonize. Under the belly button, please open and harmonize. Heart, please open and harmonize. All right. Left hand forehead, right hand brainstem. Stay here for about a minute and we'll be done. Hands over the heart, slow, deep breaths. Let the code process. Might take a look when you're ready at the 0 to 10s and another look in about 30 minutes. It should work pretty much at full power for about 30 minutes. And Johanna, if we have any questions, Dave will answer them.
Marilyn has her hand up. I'm going to open her line. Hi, Marilyn.
Marilyn, dear lady from Australia.
Good morning. Good
Hi.
afternoon. Hello, David.
Morning.
Um,
Morning.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Good. I just would like to make a comment about last week's trilogy, which was chaos, and the energy was peace. And what came into my thoughts was peace at any cost, and then the memory of Richard Chamberlain, or Neville Chamberlain, sorry, going to Germany and wanting peace at any cost with Hitler, but then they ended up going to war, and they did win the war, but there was terrible consequences for long term after that. And my feelings which came up was, if I'm in a situation with another person where their energy is war and I'm trying to have peace at any cost, it doesn't really help me, because then eventually I would probably go to war with them to try and regain that peace. But if they are at war and I have an internal state of peace, then I'm going to go through that and come out the other side much better. Am I right in thinking that?
Well, my 2 cents on that, Marilyn, is that if I'm around someone who is feeling a lot of fear and resonating a lot of fear, I can absolutely absorb that and start to feel anxiety and anger and low self-worth. I mean, you name it. I can feel virtually anything from absorbing their negativity. It can act as a trigger for me. On the other hand, if I am full up to here with love, they can't do anything to me, Marilyn. I can affect them positively, but they can't affect me negatively. Now, they could kill me. They could affect me, negatively that way. But as far as issues and my spiritual life, if I'm full of love and stay in that present moment in love place, they can't hurt me. Now, if you're talking about a country, yeah, sure. It may get to the point where we feel like we have to go to war and defend our country. I would say there's lots of times when maybe that is still not the best decision. And America certainly has a history of that. The Iraq War, where they had weapons of mass destruction, even if maybe they didn't. And there was a lot of evidence. There may have been a lot of political to that war. All right. But there may be times where you have to go to war as a country or as an individual to protect your family. But I would never go to war with a person if it's not simply to protect from them trying to harm me or my family or whatever. I would never go to war personally. Dave, that's an interesting thought. What do you think?
No, I was just kind of stuck on the peace at any cost.
Yeah.
That it almost seems like I don't know, like an oxymoron in a way, or a contradiction in terms. Because the achieving of peace is to get at the source and to find that place. And if you're trying to get to the peace by the wrong means, somehow it doesn't seem like you would actually get to the peace.
Yeah,
the
that's
peace
not
that you're
peace.
achieving is not peace, right?
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
peace. Yeah.
So the thing is, is that sort of like pray for your enemies kind of thing,
yeah.
Idea. Whereas, you actually do at some point can feel pity for that person who's acting out on you. And, of course, it's not pleasant having somebody, getting in your face or whatever, but and this is the beauty of what you're doing, Alex, and the tools that I feel like they're actually weapons that you're arming us with in order to protect ourselves against that kind of thing. The understanding, you're arming us with an understanding of why those people are acting the way they are, or why we act the way we are too, when we're hostile to other people. But without that, we're we're unarmed, so that it's just beautiful. I don't know, Marilyn, if you could see that, but what he's giving us is an understanding so that we don't have, there's no we can understand where that other person's coming from, and when we understand them, then we can start to have compassion.
Dave, the thing I love about what you just said, and I don't know that I've ever thought this, but until you said it, we use the weapons on ourselves, not our enemy. I mean, to me, that's what coming from a place of peace does, is I'm not going to attack you. I'm going to work on me and my situation and wish you nothing but the best. No, even if you're attacking me. Now, if you come after my wife and children to kill them, I'm going to try to keep you from killing them, because I think that's the best thing for you too. It's not the best thing for the guy who's coming to kill my family to kill them. That's going to haunt him the rest of his life, whether he knows it or not. Okay. So I believe the loving thing, not only for me, for my family, but for the person attacking, is for me, if I can, to keep them from harming, but I'm using my weapon to do that on me, not on them.
Wow.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
and I've got to go. I'm sorry.
That's great.
But Dave, please continue. And thank y'all. I love you. See you next week. Tell you.
Alex. Yeah.
Bye.
What I wanted to say, this is exactly what he was saying, is that, we've been sort of trained how to hate and shame ourselves. That's the point. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Marilyn. So yeah, I was agreeing with Alex.
I just want to add something here. Is I'm actually working with someone who's in a relationship where they do peace at any cost, just to keep the peace. And when that thought came into, because
but Marilyn, here's the point though. I'm sorry, but here's the point. It's not peace.
No, that's what I'm understanding. That's what I got. Where I have struggled to help this person is, what is the solution? The solution is to walk away, but they felt unable to do that. And I realized, by thinking about what happened when England wanted peace at any cost and then went to war, yes, they won the war, but at a horrendous human cost. And
that's the point. It wasn't peace.
And so I was able to realize that for this person, there is no point for them to go to war with their partner. We need to help them find a peace. So when the other person is at war, instead of trying to find peace at any cost, they have a real peace, which allows them to go through whatever they have to go through to get to the other side, which is then better. Am I explaining myself right?
Yeah, it's just the peace at any cost bothers me, because it's not peace, because it's still
that's what the person is trying to do now, and so where we're healing now is to enable them to have a peace that is not at any cost, but is a true peace. But it took that. It took listening to that and the thoughts that come from that to realize there is a solution, and it is genuine peace, but it's going through the pain to get to that peace
of the source healing.
Yeah. See,
so in other words, and so your friend will start to understand, could start to understand, why is her
spouse or her significant other acting the way they are? What's driving that person? You know, we had several people, you know, talking about their relationships and things like that. Well, the person being driven to act in a certain way, unconsciously a lot of times, you know,
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about chaos and everything. So the key is for that person as well. You know, I hate to keep talking about the healing code, but this is probably the best method that I mean, it's definitely the best method that I know of to do
Oh, yeah.
that. They need to go and start healing those source issues and find those epiphanies of the,
Yeah.
you know, and then things are going to start getting better. Then they're going to feel the energetic shift. And until they do, they're going to continue to struggle with those
Yeah.
negative emotions, you know, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
our whole point.
He does. This person does do the healing codes. Been doing them for a while on this situation, but we couldn't see. The other thing that Alex talked about was that feeling paralyzed and going back to the known, even though it's a bad situation, and that allowed us to understand their behavior. And so that's what I'm saying is,
Well,
um,
like logistically, if the
listening.
person has to go back for a logistic reason, you know, that's slightly different. I mean, if there are financial issues, whatever, but at least in their heart, you know, they shouldn't be like, we want to try to resolve all that sort of frustration and that, you know, kind of things that um you know, so you're saying logistically. So logistically, if the person has to get together for, you know, that's a separate thing. But at least emotionally, you know, the struggles, you know, if they both could work on, you know, themselves, you know, then I don't know. I think I just always
Yeah.
come back to the same thing, is that, you know, those conflicts are not between the people necessarily. It's other things that people are bringing into the relationship, and they're getting triggered, yes, by the other person, but they, you know, most of the time they're not coming in completely like the guy Alex was talking about, the guy that's totally non-judgmental, like totally open and able to hear it. You know, that's if two people like that get into a relationship, honestly, there's not going to be that much difficulty, I don't think.
No,
Right?
I think what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
listening to last week's chaos trilogy has given this person and myself a feeling that yes, there is hope, that there is a solution to this, and the solution is to go through this pain to that external piece, and then you can go through whatever is going to happen with this relationship and
Wait, the
come
pain
out a better
the
person.
Yeah, but the pain
Now,
you're
Alex,
talking about is the pain of healing, the source healing.
yes,
Is that right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
No. No. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. It is pain. I mean, look at
Yeah,
us. We have to face ourselves. I mean, who
yeah,
wants to look at ourselves? I mean, I don't want to look at myself. I don't have to. God, come on. All
yeah,
those negative things. A text character. Oh my God, what a
yeah,
jerk.
yeah. No, I just wanted to say
Thank
thank
you
you for
very
that
much.
one,
Yeah,
because
appreciate. Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's what it's
it
for, Marilyn. You
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
to hear you having positive effects from it, that makes our day. You know, that's the
yeah,
whole purpose. And our request of you, I'm not demanding, but and you're already doing it, is to get other people and say, listen,
yeah,
you're the example, and you're like, try this stuff, you know, and help them find their issue. Help
yeah,
them find the thing to work on. Just say, when was the time that you remember feeling this way? You know, like the early
yeah,
time, and try to like uncover stuff for people. And you see
yeah,
how it helps you, you know, how it helps
yeah,
me, how it helps
yeah,
Alex, other of all people.
yeah. No, we've been
Hallelujah,
healing on.
Marilyn.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We've been healing on this issue for quite a long time, but we never sort of felt there was a solution. But listening to chaos, we now feel that there is.
I see. Yeah, all those different issues, you know, that we talk about, it's just like different ways of looking at the same thing, and different, you know, parts of it that or might be more relevant. Like when you hear it, then it'll more, you know, it'll resonate with the person. Like
FOMO might resonate with a different generation, or chaos is something you haven't heard necessarily, although it's involved, it's in part of the peace category. You know, it is involved with that, but so that's the whole idea. So it's great to hear feedback from people like you, Marilyn, that where you've had positive results and have affected other people also positively.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you for taking the time to do what you do, because it is extremely helpful. Really appreciate it. Thank
You're
you. You
welcome.
and
Thank you.
David and
Thank you.
Johanna, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. God bless you. We have a couple hands up. I'm gonna have to leave early, David, but let me go ahead and unmute Hoda. Hoda, your line is open.
Hey guys.
Bye.
Hey. Hey, I just wanted to say, you guys, even David, you seem even more and more sure-footed as the calls go on, and I'm just so excited for everybody that's on the call, because even, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but even since I've been joining, I've noticed a huge difference in you. But for me, myself, this past week, I got a custom code, and I wanted to share that it pulled up something that I didn't expect to have come up, related to probably where that feeling of disgust that I talked about came from. And at first, it was something I didn't want to deal with. I kind of stopped doing the code altogether for a few days just because I was overwhelmed. Hi. And then I realized what was going on, that the external stuff wasn't actually the issue. And it was a lot of fight or flight. But as I went back to doing the code, that feeling started to get smaller and smaller and smaller every day. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, that's amazing. So great to hear that.
Yeah,
Good.
Thank
yeah,
you very
that's
much.
it.
Okay.
And if I could say,
That goes in the
What?
drink, you want to use a different.
Oh yeah,
serving
1 second.
and I just want to say one thing, because Hoda, that was a compliment. I really appreciate that. And what I wanted to say, I actually wanted to say it. Do you hear me? Can you hear me?
I
Yeah.
can
Johanna?
hear you. Yeah, I can
When
hear you.
Alex also, because I was brought up in this science research, physician scientist thing. So like I could go and I was giving talks, to the audience, whatever, talking about collagen cross-linking and strengthening collagen and stuff like that. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm like a fish out of water, So it was totally different. So I really appreciate it, Hoda. I'm feeling more comfortable as we go along. And no, I hadn't been
That's
doing this
awesome.
kind of thing. So it's been a great experience, and working with Alex is, it's my opportunity to heal, so I'm
Yeah.
getting to heal too. So anyway, it's
Yeah.
great to hear things like that. And the chaos, I can hear it in your voice too. It's just great. It's beautiful to hear people having peace and feeling the energetic shift and everything. And all I can say is just, let's keep going and let's get more people involved and have other people feel that same peace and, that good feeling and being able to act in love, that we're all experiencing. So thank you.
Right. And I just wanted to add one thing about that, Hoda, when you said you were feeling you quit doing the code for a while because it felt overwhelming, and that was probably just exactly what you needed to do. It sounds like you were having the overwhelm was a bit of a healing response, and we will often
I think I'm disconnected. Okay, thank you guys so much. Yeah, we love you guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
No, she missed it, Johanna, but that is a point. Those for other people on the call. Sometimes when you do the healing code or trilogy, you actually feel worse. I get this often. I get this. Johanna knows this because she trained me. But I yeah. And then you just have to, like she was saying, you take a few days off, or and Hoda didn't realize that she was doing it, but Johanna was clarifying that that's actually what was happening. So.
Yes,
really
and
nice.
it's 1 out of 10 people will experience that. Sometimes the symptoms will get worse physically or emotionally, and we do feel overwhelmed, but don't be discouraged because the code continues to work. You put that new programming in and it continues to work. But of course, as things shift, it's good to get a fresh custom code if you're using custom codes. And that kind of we recalibrate that frequency so that it matches more closely. Okay, so I'm gonna need to go, David. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
But I have a little bit of a family thing going on where I'm gonna be
Yeah.
needed. So come back again next week. Thank you all for being here. We really love the interaction with everybody. It's really inspiring, and I just want to thank you all for participating. God bless. Bye, David.
Okay. Bye. Thanks.